Welcome back to an election night edition. Even though it's not election night, it's the night after. Yeah,
America decides.
Yeah, get a crazy graphics and chyrons going. It's the Woke Bros, of course. I'm your co-host, Big Wos, aka Wazzy Lambre, and I'm joined by the one and only Nando Vila on the west side of Los Angeles. What's up, brother? Good, man. Good. Just chilling, man. I woke up this morning because I used to be that person that would throw on MSNBC and just watch it as the election results came in and, listen to the analysis and get all deep divey and go crazy, go nuts. I used to be that person. I'm no longer that person. I'm just like, I will read the results tomorrow. I'll read people who have ideas about what, if anything, any of this means big picture wise going forward. And that's it. And, I woke up to the news that the red wave that was supposed to engulf the Dems and their hapless government just never came. I think they're gonna barely take the House back, which sucks, but it's not as if the Dems were doing anything with that House advantage anyway. And I think at best, there's like 4 races still out there, if I'm not mistaken. And at best, they could get to 52, but there's no wave. It's not some overwhelming thing that people thought was going to happen.
Yeah, especially because, and this is like the second time this happens, where Florida, for whatever reason, counts their votes very quickly,
Mm-hmm.
and so they get the results come in very quickly from Florida. That's on the East Coast, and it's early, and fucking
So
Ron
that starts a
DeSantis.
narrative going for the night.
Yeah, and Ron DeSantis won by 20 points in a state that Obama won twice. Ron DeSantis won by 20 points. Like, that is crazy
Yeah.
in our polarized world, especially Florida's supposed to be a swing state. It's supposed to be one of the biggest swing
Used
states.
to be anyway, yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, like, yes, DeSantis is a savvy guy. DeSantis beat Andrew Gillum for the governorship 4 years ago by like a hair, by like half a point. 4 years later, 20 points up. I think it goes to show just how badly the Florida Democratic Party is, who poured tons of money to elect Charlie Crist, who is a former Republican.
Absurd. Just absurd, bro.
Who no one likes, and then Val
How can
Demings.
that be the idea that, Charlie Crist, who, folks don't remember, he had his own situation, struggles back in the days, couple of ridiculous scandals. Whose idea was that this guy could like do something in there?
Yeah. No, it's they Dems always think this, in that, like, they're like, oh, to beat the Republican, we'll get a
You
Republican.
need a light Republican, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like,
No, he's a rhino. They don't like him. He's not.
They don't like him.
He's not gonna clip off any Republican voters. That's a fallacy, right? Cause like this is what I love. Like, you'll hear. I remember when it was like back when it was slightly embarrassing, or some conservatives felt slightly embarrassed by the idea that they pulled a lever for Trump and that they didn't like him. You'd hear people say, "Well, he was not my candidate." I was a really big Ted Cruz person, but Ted Cruz didn't win the nomination, so I had to pull the lever for Trump. Like, there's always this like fake, they do the fake performative stuff, but like none of these people want some moderate, just some chaste Republican. That's not a thing.
Well, certainly it depresses turnout amongst the Democratic base, because he's completely, so, and that was a huge problem in Florida. It's just the Democrats just didn't come out for him at all, because he's just a wet noodle and a former Republican. Like, why would they trust him? You contrast that with someone like Fetterman, who is not a moderate, he doesn't run as a moderate. He doesn't run, he reads moderate because he just sounds like a regular guy. But he is a bold alternative that gets people excited to vote for him. And that's how he won in Pennsylvania, and he won pretty handily in a state, relatively handily. But yeah, I mean, in Florida, it was a disaster. I mean, the DeSantis won by 20. Marco Rubio, who like no one really likes either. You know, DeSantis actually people like him. No one likes Marco Rubio. He won by like
Nobody
15
goes-
points.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nobody goes,
Yeah.
oh man, Marco Rubio's kicking the libs' asses in the
No.
Senate, or he's like this hardcore Republican. Like nobody feels that way, and he's comfortably winning his race.
Yeah. So yeah, he won by 15 points against Val Demings, and I think like Democratic donors poured something like $80 million or $70 million into that race, and only to lose by 15 points. But then shit started changing as results started coming in. I think people were surprised that Abigail Spanberger won in Virginia. She was that Democratic congresswoman that like went against AOC like a year or two ago. Do you remember that?
No, I
she was
don't
supposed to
remember
lose.
that.
All right, whatever. She was supposed to lose, pretty comfortably, and she won. And people were like, and then Fetterman won in a race that was kind of considered a toss-up, but he won pretty handily, and I think that kind of put a damper on the red wave. Yeah. I mean, it's still wide open in the sense that the Warnock Herschel Walker race, and that's an interesting one. Is going to go to
It's
a
going to
runoff.
go to a runoff again.
Yeah,
Jesus
again.
Christ, Georgia. That's
Yeah.
that those two dudes just drawing completely even. I'm sorry, like that. I know this is serious business. It's the United States Senate, but that shit is hilarious, bro. That's hilarious. And I know the instinct to be like, oh, it just shows you the depravity of the conservatives, and they're just so depraved and disgusting and blah. That's how you're supposed to feel about that. But, I think a lot of conservatives has made the calculation like, bro, we want a Republican in there. It don't matter who, what, whatever. If we know he's going to comfortably vote with us, that's it. And it's like testing the extremes of that. Because I seen a 538 joint headline that said, candidate quality mattered, right? And in certain senses that it did. Like there are, like, these states where a Republican might have won the governorship in double digits and then, lost the Senate or whatever, right? It was just shows you that, like, it's not just this, sort of partisan hackery that goes involved. Like if you have a quality candidate, they can kick ass, or if you have somebody terrible, conversely, they can lose, except in Georgia. Georgia.
The interesting thing about Georgia is that the race for governor, which is a rematch between Stacey Abrams and Brian Kemp, in which that race 4 years ago, Stacey Abrams lost by a hair. I think she lost by like 50,000 votes. She got crushed. Like absolutely crushed. She lost by like 7 points, like the Brian Kemp won it comfortably, with like 55% of the vote. And that shows you that there was a penalty to Herschel Walker, that like the Republicans in Georgia just are more, and they're happy with their, boring ass Republican governor. But like Herschel Walker was like, just a fucking disaster. Like there was a penalty there that the Republicans faced by nominating.
It's definitely a
fucking Herschel
penalty,
Walker.
but it's not severe enough. That's all.
Yeah,
I'm
not
saying.
severe enough. But the thing, so in the runoff, I was actually looking at the runoff from 2 years ago, the Ossoff, the double runoff in Georgia 2 years ago. Ossoff lost in the first round by 2 points, and then he won in the runoff. So it's really all to play for. You know what I mean? Kind of, it's still really like up for grabs. Like I can see in a sort of runoff election in which it's just Warnock versus Walker and not all the other shit. I can see like the
that's
Herschel
some
Walker thing just
libertarian
being-
guy running in there, all of that stuff.
Yeah, and just like, but also like not, people not showing up to vote for the governor and like who they like, and maybe they just like do Republican on all the way down the line or whatever. I can see like that Walker penalty just kind of, being more severe, especially because as time goes on, his shit got worse. Like time was not on Herschel Walker's side. So I do think Warnock probably pulls it out. The other one that looks like the Dems are gonna win is in Arizona. Mark Kelly, the astronaut, against Blake Masters, who's like Peter Thiel's little bitch. Do you know this guy, Blake Masters? Have you seen him?
No, but I read a little thing about Peter Thiel's just hyper politicization now, where this guy is just like, he's a Twitter person essentially. Like he's just crazy and throws his money all around. I know, isn't JD Vance one of his
He won.
concoctions?
He won pretty. Yeah,
he won.
They're like,
yeah.
Yeah. They're part of the same kind of little dork crew.
Yeah.
You know, they're just like these nerdy ass conservatives that are like, well, and they like love Peter Thiel. God, I hope Blake Masters loses. He's such a fucking dork. Like, I like, you know, he's just such an insufferable dork. And it looks like he's going to lose. Looks like the Dems are going to lose in Nevada, which was the other big kind of swing one that they needed to hold. This woman, Cortez Masto, the first Latina senator, she's probably going to lose in Nevada. But yeah, not the red wave. And it's interesting to think about why. I do think that there's kind of two dynamics. One, there's just a broad kind of rejection of the Republicans as extreme in the wake of the abortion, in the wake of Dobbs. You know, the abortion thing. I think people were just like, whoa, this is like
because straight up in a bunch of Republican states, they put the shit on the ballot and people were like, bro, come on. Yeah. Like, come on, man. This is a lot. You're asking for a lot now. So, yeah, I think there's something to be said about the extremism going, you know, not in their favor.
Yeah. And I think that's part of it. And then the other one, there's just like kind of like, I think that there is a dynamic in which like there is a split in the Republican Party between kind of like normie Republicans and then like Trump Republicans. And I think that Trump Republicans have an advantage in these primaries where the crazies really kind of dominate. But then they're just turned off in the general election, you know? Like I think Brian Kemp is a good example of kind of a normie Republican that in like just rode the fundamentals to a huge win. Yeah. You know, meaning like there was a, you know, inflation and president's unpopular and blah, blah, blah. Like the regular punishment that a incumbent president faces in the midterms. He rode that wave, but the sort of more Trumpian types, the ones who are like Stop the Steal and like QAnon and, you know, Herschel Walkers and shit, like they suffered probably like a 5 to 6 point penalty.
Yeah, and I think even I say this all the time because I spend a lot of time in Georgia. In like my brother lives in a fucking exurb of Atlanta. And you know, it's a hodgepodge of people, and I know like once you leave that little region, you know, you get to South Georgia and all of that. It ain't nothing like up there. You know, but this idea that Georgia's just like rapidly changing, like, no, it's not rapidly changing. It's certainly changing. Like this place used to be straight up solidly conservative, Republican, all of that, solidly red. And the demographic shifts are changing, and not just in race, but like, you know, college educated people and stuff like that. Like that, it's definitely changing the state. But like, yo, these folks like their Republicans, man. You know, you just give them that run of the mill Republican, they're gonna roll with that. And it feels like that's what's happening. I do want to get back to DeSantis because I think a lot of the chatter has been that he had a victorious, you know, midterm night because, you know, some Trump people got their asses kicked in Florida, whatever. DeSantis won handily. And, you know, people are saying, oh, DeSantis, he might have some wind in his sails, Nando. They say, and you know, I wonder because again, like you're still in touch with people who live in Florida. What do you think is his appeal, and what does it mean going forward? Because I know we've been very dismissive of his 2024 chances because Trump is just so much more personally charismatic than he is. But what do you think about his sort of momentum and appeal going forward?
I mean, I've always said it from the beginning that DeSantis is like a clever guy in that he knows how to get attention for himself, which is half the battle in American politics these days. He understands that, but then he's actually like he's not a dummy. Like he's just not like you know, liberals who are like, look at this idiot. It's like, you know, he's a monster, but he's not like a dumbass. That's not his thing. He's savvier than he looks. And a shrewder politician than he looks. And I think part of his like popularity, I mean, I think a huge part of it is that he resisted COVID lockdowns and mask mandates and all of that.
Quite savvily. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, whether savvily or not, like whether it was the right kind of policy from a public health standpoint or not is up for debate, and it's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about that was a genuinely popular thing to do.
Yes, exactly.
So I don't know if it was the right thing to do from a public health standpoint, probably not. But from a just popularity standpoint, I think that was huge. I mean, I think like he was out there being basically the lone governor resisting all of that stuff. And, he made the point, like, look at Democrat California, it's falling apart and it's high taxes and blah, blah, blah. And people started moving to Florida because of I think a large part because it wasn't locked down at a time when everyone was bored out of their mind. And at a time when, and in a state when there's no state income tax. The other thing is that he rails against wokeism, as one does, and that's quite popular. It just is, like, amongst people of all shapes and colors.
I think a lot of people are tired of it. Yeah,
like of all shapes and colors. That it's just kind of like gone too far, and he talks about it all the time, and he sensed that is a winning issue for him, and it probably is. And again, not just with like toothless hicks in white hicks. You know what I mean? That's with everybody. Like Ron DeSantis won Miami-Dade County by like 6 or 7 points. Miami-Dade County hasn't voted Republican, I think, in I don't know, in the longest time, like 20, 30 years. That is a solidly blue county, and despite the Cubans and despite everything, like that is a solidly blue county and always has been. And Ron DeSantis flipped it. He won. It's not. It's just he's more like that kind of stuff superficially is more popular than people realize, I think, and I think that's true. But so I think those two things are part of it. He just gives the sense of leadership, in a twisted way. Like he's out there. He's comfortable being in the limelight. He's comfortable being in the center of it, which is part of being a leader. And I think people see him and they just latch onto it. He's not like one of these quiet guys who just like, I don't know, like it's so. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the main source of the appeal. I really think you can't underscore the COVID stuff as just a huge source of the appeal.
Yeah, the COVID stuff, I think was the first sign of a crack in this liberal sort of firewall that I saw, where it was like, people around me in my life who are like those liberals who are like, no, I'm proudly Democrat and I'm like, I'm like really liberal and blah, 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 blah. Man, as soon as them badass kids had to stay home, they was like, yo, hey, listen, man, hey, we need to put them kids back in school. I don't give a damn about the COVID, the vax, the this, the that. It was like, I was like, damn. Because, like, when you see it playing out on cable news or in the New York Times or whatever, and it's being like the sort of the COVID wariness, right, being painted as like, if you are really vigilant about COVID, that means you're a great dyed-in-the-wool liberal. Right, and you see that just being played and played and played. This idea that if you were down with the shutdowns and all of that, that made you, that fortified your liberalness. And when the rubber hit the road, though, folks was like, bruh, listen, I loved Hillary. I voted for her. I'm gonna do the Biden thing, whatever, blah 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 blah. But boy, y'all gotta open this stuff up. We want to go to restaurants. We want to send our kids to school. We want to get back to living our lives. Like, I remember that. And, that other part you talk about with woke, I think anti-wokeness is intersectional. How, like, intersectional is like a buzzword for liberals. I think you can hit somebody in every quadrant, black male, black woman, whatever, gay white male, blah, 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 blah. And there will be something about the narrative of wokeness that gets on their fucking nerves. you know, and to play to that, I could see how that would work, man. Like I could see how that would resonate with people, because you know it's not hard for me to imagine some black or Hispanic male being like, yo, they really going too hard about the feminism, you know, or what's up with D Wade's kid, like, you know what I'm saying? Like I could see it. I could just see that shit just clear as day in my mind's eye. So, you know, just the idea that somebody would run on that and play on those things and, you know, use it as a way to make them popular politically, I think is, you know, that seems to be right in line with what I see and know about people.
Yeah. It looks like Hugo Soto Martinez is gonna win. Former guest of this show, city council in LA.
Oh, shit!
Yeah.
Holy moly, that's what's up. Wow.
Yep. He's
Good
in the
for
lead.
him.
He's got like a lead he's like 5 points ahead right now. It's still not fully counted. It's still not officially called, but he seems to be in a strong position. Dude, the guest on this show.
Guest on this show, the Woke Bros bump.
The Woke Bros bump, baby. The Woke bump.
Yeah, man.
I'm going to take all the credit, you know?
He worked his ass off. Obviously ran an incredible campaign, but this guy is, you know, he's got progressive values, union guy, like shit, man. This dude
organized his workplace when he was like 19 at a hotel.
Incredible stuff. And the last thing I want to get into, Nando, because I was thinking about this today. What does this mean for Biden going forward? I honestly think it's a good thing that they lost the House.
For
and
Biden,
if they lose,
puts him off the hook. It leaves it, you know.
Bro, stop wasting my time with this. Oh, we gotta negotiate with Manchin and Sinema, and we gotta maybe rip off some Republicans, and just get to doing the shit you can do by fiat. Just fucking get to the presidential orders and keep it pushing it. We ain't gotta pay none of this lip service and this bullshit that Biden be doing. I don't want to hear it. Just do your presidential orders, bruh. Veto all the bullshit they gonna send you, because they inevitably are going to do that, and that's fine. Of course, not the military stuff. That's going to just get passed beautifully, and everybody's gonna sing Kumbaya about more guns all over the place, and Halliburton and the rest of these clowns getting paid and shit. But yeah, man, just get to doing the shit like the college loan shit, and just get to that. Just get to that for 2 years, and that's it. I honestly think on the low, this is a good thing for Biden's presidency.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, what is going to happen is that in the Republican side, you know, Kevin McCarthy's the new Speaker of the House. Congratulations, Kevin McCarthy, Congressman from California. Like the area just east of LA, like not East LA, like east of LA, like in the
like the IE. Is that where McCarthy's shit's from?
Yeah, it's like the Mojave Desert. He's got like a huge district because it's very depopulated. It's like,
right.
Like when you're driving out to Vegas, like, and there's like nothing around. It's like that kind of area. And he's the new Speaker of the House, and it's gonna be funny because they won by such a narrow margin, because there's only like, you know, 3 or 4 seats that they have that makes the difference. That means that like the crazies have all the leverage, you know. Yep. So like,
because they'll just straight up not go with your plan.
Oh, of course, yeah. We
don't care about being down with the team and playing ball with y'all. Fuck that.
No, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, like, is not gonna fucking play ball. No, you know what I mean?
No shot.
And so that's gonna be funny to watch, because they're gonna do some crazy shit. You know, like they're definitely gonna like launch all kinds of investigations into Hunter Biden's laptop and shit.
Yeah, do it.
You know,
do it.
I mean, yeah, nothing's gonna get done. You know, that's what happens with divided government. I mean, that's why the rich love divided government. I don't know if you saw Comrade Elon Musk, tweeting about how he's supporting like a ticket split, you know, like Democratic presidency and Republican. It's because the rich people, if nothing gets done, it's good
everything
for them,
will stay the same. Yeah, we will stay rich as hell, no problems. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, Brandon, who knows? I mean, Brandon is a fighter. I think like when you think Brandon's down and out, like he somehow... You know, like
he somehow does something. I know.
You know, like Brandon was out in the primary, and then he won, and then Brandon, you know, was struggling in the general, and then he won, and then Brandon in this election, you know, historically unpopular, inflation, all that shit.
53% disapproval.
Yeah. And they didn't get clobbered as bad as they thought they were gonna get clobbered.
For sure.
So shout out to Brandon. So I don't know. I mean, it's gonna be like a nightmarish situation in that nothing's gonna get done. It's gonna be a lot of noise. Like the crazies are gonna do a lot of like investigations. The libs are gonna go crazy over the crazies. It's gonna be a lot of shouting with nothing really getting done. So yeah. I mean, there's a couple like nice ballot measures that passed, like those kind of things, like psychedelic drugs legal in Colorado now. That's nice.
Oh, shoot. Okay. So when we say it's psychedelic, what are we talking about? Magic mushrooms, like, LSD?
Yeah. Like not all of them. It's like I think it's like somewhat limited. I don't know what it's limited to, but
what's the shit that the people take in South America? Like you do it with
ayahuasca?
Like a shaman? Oh,
ayahuasca.
That's the shit that Aaron Rodgers was on. Fucked up his whole season.
yeah, exactly. South Dakota, like a super Republican state, voted to expanded
Medicaid. Yep, super nice. Yep.
Illinois passed a referendum to codify the right to collective bargaining in the state constitution. The first state to ever do so.
Nice. That's the opposite direction of right to work bullshit.
Exactly. Yeah. And it looks like Gretchen Whitmer, who's kind of like, she's the Republican. I'm sorry, she's the Democratic governor of Michigan, who's kind of like the person they're thinking of as maybe like the next presidential candidate, for down the future.
Oh my God, Jesus. Okay.
She's looks like she's gonna repeal the state's right to work laws.
Okay.
Yeah. Californians though overwhelmingly voted against online sports betting. Did you see that?
Wait.
Remember there was the two online sports betting things in California?
Sure. So people not gonna be able to use FanDuel in California anymore?
Yeah, basically.
That's crazy.
I don't know if FanDuel, but like online sports betting in general,
Yeah. Nah, I hear you. Wow. That's tough.
And they also voted to ban flavored e-cigarettes, like Juuls, like mango Juuls and shit.
Yeah, I mean, that's for the kids. I respect that. There's somebody who probably started smoking, unfortunately, in high school. I definitely favored the Newports, man, because they just tasted so minty good.
Yeah. That's right. Newports. Pack of Newports.
Still love a menthol to this day, boy.
I'll fuck with menthol,
Yeah, man. So, yeah, that's our election roundup, y'all. Make sure you become a Patreon at patreon.com/countthedings for a cup of Starbucks per month. We putting a lot of extra content on there, a lot of new OG shows. We ain't been doing that in like 3-4 years. So make sure you checking that stuff out. And we'll see you guys next week. Peace out.